Okay.
I was just about to say Sparky. We have no name.
We don't have a name, so
I've had 2 submissions.
We've only had 2 submissions. Okay, submit a name, and then we're gonna pick the name that we like the best for this new guy here. This lava lamp in the back.
So we still have Salty.
Yeah, and we still have Chip.
Big homie.
Okay, Chip will always stay with us like that. He's never gonna rotate out of here. But Salty may be rotating out at some point when we get an actual real Salty.
Somebody may be having Salty.
Yep, somebody may win Salty as a prize.
We're about to mail out Sparky. Sparky still has some sparks left in him, but
he does. I'm hoping that maybe the person that gets him like knows how to fix him because I literally think he can be fixed.
Inshallah.
Okay. Anyway.
Shout out to the big homie Joshua G. I think he's our youngest person. He's like a young dude.
Oh, messaging you?
Yeah, the guy I was just telling you about.
I had one person say, I'm 9.
La ilaha illallah.
I'm like, where's your mom?
Astaghfirullah. What's up, Josh?
You know what, though? There's worse things that they could be listening to.
Right. Hope that conversation goes well with your parents, my guy. Okay, so this is another Patreon pick.
Yes, it is. Guys, look at our shirts.
I know. Oh, yeah, the Vector joint.
Yep.
Vector!
Yep. We're very happy about them.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't realize there was a skull, like, here on the side. Right here. I didn't see that until today when I put it on. I was like,
really like the cut of this shirt. I like the shirt a lot.
Yeah, it looks good.
Speaking of shirts, the Fauchal with me on it is coming soon.
Soon.
So we've got another page. So this is the Sin and Glory Alliance headed up by Chris Help. Yep. Look at this right here. Look how look how organized these people are. Like, this dude is not playing around. So, like, he organized. I think they've got like 110-point alliance right now.
Whoa.
They're just monsters right now. And then he did a vote, and Avenged Sevenfold won. It's pretty funny.
Smart. I've actually been wanting to do this.
What?
I won't see you tonight.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been asking about it, and it sounds sad. And sometimes I like to listen to something that sounds sad.
I know.
You know that.
So they got together. They voted. So there you are. We've got another alliance that's forming. It's called Gladio Nocturnus by the big homie.
Here it is.
It's the sword of justice.
Yep.
By the big homie Alan Thompson. Clan leader.
Not big homie, clan leader.
My apologies. So Alan Thompson. So if you're a death metal guy, I'm pretty sure they're a death
girl.
Or girl, you can be a shield maiden. If you want to be part of a death metal alliance, then Alan Thompson is your guy. They're just starting out, but we'll see what we can do for you.
Okay, and the way to get points, obviously, we told you guys before, is through Patreon. $1 gets you 1 point, so you can join in all of it for just $1 a month.
Well, that's the funny thing is, like, Sherry is like, that's their strategy, is going after all the $1 people.
Well, the $1 mark is actually the most concentrated point.
Yeah, it's pretty smart. It's pretty smart going after the $1 people.
Yep.
So, yeah, because it's 100% value on that.
Exactly.
Anyway, everybody's smarter than me, so I don't really know, like, what the logic is, but people are figuring it out. So, anyway, if you want some good hardcore death metal...
that's where you want to bring your influences to... Alan Thompson. Also, if you guys want a shirt...
Hold on for a
second. Go
second.
ahead, get what you need.
Hold on. You're going to need to pause this because I don't know...
Yeah, but I had something to say to them that I could have done while you were doing that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. If you guys want a shirt, one of the secret Sori shirts, Sori secret shirts, I always get it mixed up. Anyway, go to... If you can't get it on the website, if you just go to PayPal and donate $25 to PayPal, we'll take care of the shipping if you're in the U.S. If you're outside of the U.S., then you got to tack on an extra $15 for shipping. Sorry. But yeah, so just go there, tell us what size you want, and we'll get that to you. And there's a little spot where you can put special messages. Put if you want it signed or, whatever right there, tell us what size you need. And also confirm your mailing address. So they'll ask you, is this a good mailing address? You have to confirm it so I can send it to you.
All right.
Okay?
Let's do it. Avenged Sevenfold, I won't see you tonight. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Light listening on a Friday afternoon.
Wow. How do you feel?
I mean, it's an emotional song.
I thought at first that it was somebody who was like leaving like a bad relationship, and then it turns out it sounded to me at the end they were leaving because of their own, like they had an alcohol problem, because it talked about the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And so it said, cry alone, I've gone away, no more nights, no more pain, I've gone alone, took all my strength. I thought that kind of might have been a double. I thought that he was saying like, I'm leaving because I'm causing you a lot of pain, and I'm not going to do that anymore, so you're going to have to cry alone, I've gone away, no more nights, no more pain, meaning you're not going to keep having it. You're going to get past this, but I'm not going to be here anymore because I'm the one that's causing you this pain. And then it says, I've gone alone, took all my strength. At that part, I was like, is that a double? Like, did he mean like it took all of his strength to leave? Or did it mean like he was the strong one in the relationship and she was leaning on him too much and he was like, okay, I'm out. But then when it got to the bottom, I was like, no, like he had an alcohol problem. And it was kind of sad because he left. It sounds like he left that relationship instead of like, you know, we say all the time, like, instead of facing what you need to face to change, people would rather run. You know, like that's why I'm not projecting that I know all the reasons why people commit suicide, but that is one of the reasons why people don't want to have to deal with whatever's going on in their life or whatever addiction they can't seem to separate themselves from or whatever pain they can't seem to overcome. And so then they'll end up ending their life. I kept like thinking like, is this a double? Like, is he talking about suicide or was it just that he was leaving her and kind of being swallowed up? It was sad because so he finally, it sounds like, leaves. But then he says, when he says, no breath inside of me, essence left my heart tonight. Like, I kind of was like, wait, is he talking about like, because he left and then he was like, okay, I can't fight against who I am and like this alcoholism. So then he lets it overtake him and he leaves her. But then after he's miserable, like, cause it overtakes him and then essence leaves him. And I don't know if it literally means he dies, or if it just means his life goes into destruction mode, which to me, that's what the music was doing at the end. Like it was like kind of melodic. It was very beautiful throughout the song, I thought. And then as it ended, like, I was like, what is it? Sounding like a waterfall? And then it just sounded like a bunch of craziness, like, destruction, like the sound of destruction in my opinion. So that's why I was like, I think that he's trying to communicate that he let himself be drawn away by his addictions and never overcame them, and they overcame him. Remember when God was talking to Cain and he was like, sin is crouching at the door and its desire is to have you or to overtake you?
Yeah. And
you must rule over it, is what God said. So we all have these things that we have to rule over. We have to take dominion over. But I don't think that he did, and I think he let it rule over him, and then it ends up destroying him. And it may be that it was the cause of the end of his life. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, I'm not sure that it's a specific relationship, because he keeps talking about his loved ones, plural.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. That's true. It could be all of them, because
so that
would wreck all those relationships.
Well, yeah.
Any major addictions do that.
Well, I think he's talking about suicide, though. I don't think he's talking about...
Yeah, but he said something about a bottle. As bottles call my name, I won't see you tonight.
Well, yeah, maybe he got drunk. Maybe he got drunk in order to do what he wanted to do.
It could be, because he says, no more breath inside my essence.
Well, he says, don't mourn for me. You're not the one to place the blame. I mean, that's a typical suicide ideology, you know?
True.
All the ones, plural, around me I cared for most and all that I love. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I can't see myself that way. So, like, please don't forget me or cry almost. So
Well, because if you remember them, you're going to cry. But he's saying, don't cry.
Well, yeah, people who I think most people who commit suicide have to go through a period of justification.
Absolutely.
So, like, you know, one of the people that did it in our close family was basically saying, oh, so-and-so will take care of you. That was basically me. They don't take care of you, so you don't need me. And then she, whatever, you know, like.
Yeah.
So it's a real, and that's what she said in the letter, you know, it was like, really systematically the way it was done. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like literally everything was on schedule, but that's how this person was. Mm-hmm. Extremely like orderly and very meticulous about stuff. And so then it's crazy because it's like, oh, you don't blame yourself, but like she had been sending us like packages of stuff that she owned, and of course looking back you're like, how the fuck did you not know that was gonna happen, bro? You know, it's like and people always tell you, oh, it wasn't your fault, blah blah blah, but I mean, but it's interesting because it's like, so she had been sending this stuff on schedule, and then she did it, and then she had already scheduled the last package to arrive like 2 or 3 days prior. So it was like, so the last package with the letter was on its way before she even did anything, because that's how meticulous she was about shit. But that was basically the essence of the letter, which is, you know, they don't take care of you, blah, 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 don't worry about it. And then, you know, I'm going, whatever. By the time we got the letter, she was already gone. So it's this weird thing where they know that to do something like that is going to be extremely painful for the people that love them, but they're in so much pain that they can't face that. So they'll come up with a justification to say, you know, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, you'll be better off without me.
Blah, blah, don't mourn, you know, and they say irrational shit like, don't mourn for me and don't forget about me.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
It's kind of impossible.
Yeah, if you love the person.
It's kind of literally impossible. Like
we remember Hitler, but we don't mourn for him. You know what I'm saying? But when it's a loved one, it's completely different.
Yeah, especially if they go out that way. Like, you know, and she was saying like there were people in her family that she did blame. She went out of her way to blame, and she went out of her way to tell us, you know, it had nothing to do with you guys. But obviously,
it's hard to separate that.
It's impossible. Yeah. Because I knew how those people were in her family, so it was kind of like you couldn't expect anything else from them, you know what I mean? But like we were supposed to, you say to yourself like you were supposed to, you know, be able to look out for her and see those signs and all the rest of it. And obviously, you know, it didn't happen, or it didn't happen in time, I guess. But it's and it's kind of it's a strange. This is from his perspective, you know. So I appreciate. It's interesting because it's the I'm assuming this person was close to the band, so they're writing it from his perspective. But there's almost like a subliminal resentment of the selfishness, because it says, "Sorrow sank deep inside my blood. All the ones around me I cared for most and loved, but I can't see myself that way." Usually what they'll say is, I don't want you to see me that way. So I'm going to kill myself so that you don't have to see me in this condition anymore. Yep. But what he's saying is, I can't see myself that way, which is true. It's like, you didn't want to see yourself like that. We'd rather see you in that condition alive. Then, you were the one that didn't want to see yourself that way. And that's true. So it's an interesting idea to write from the perspective of the person that's doing it. Yep. But then at the same time, you have your own biases and your own anger that happens, that you have at a person when they do something like that. And it's such a strange dichotomy to live in, because on the one hand, it's like they're in so much pain that they made a conscious decision to put you in pain that's never going to be healed so that they could escape from it. So on the one hand, you're like, that's a really fucking selfish thing to do. But on the other hand, it's like, well, you weren't that person, so you don't know the degree to which the pain that they were dealing with. So how can you say that? You know, unless... And it's not like people say, oh, I've gone through hard times and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But you haven't gone through hard times as that person. Right. because everybody, I was reading this thing on pain, and they were, because we had that debate with Alec about abortion or whatever, and that
was on the last fireside chat.
One of the articles said, heart rate is something objective and verifiable, and blood pressure, and he's like, pain is
well, yeah. How
do you measure that? How do you know? And there's this thing called pain tolerance.
Yeah.
So how can you say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, like, emotionally, like, you can say, like, oh, I've been through that too, I didn't kill myself. Yeah, you might have a higher pain tolerance emotionally than the other person. You have to feel what they're feeling in that moment as them, which is impossible.
Plus, there's like, they'll say the straw that broke the camel's back?
Right.
Like, there are other factors in people's life aside from that one situation. And so you never know which other things are going on that kind of brings them to that breaking point on that. Like maybe, maybe something minor in our opinions happens to them and they're like, that's it. And that's what makes them go and do it. But there's lots of other, it wasn't just that thing,
right.
But it was all the other factors in their life, all the elements of stress and pain and things that they were going through and experiencing that they couldn't find relief from. And so because they couldn't find relief from any of them or, enough of them, then it can, it doesn't necessarily mean it's just that one thing. So that's what I'm saying. Even if you like looked at somebody and you're like, okay, so their parents died, everybody's parents die. But that's not the only thing that happened to that person.
Right.
And everybody, like, different things affect people differently, like how they'll react to it. Some people will mourn losses. It's healthy to mourn. If you don't mourn and you bottle it up inside, then it comes out in other ways and in other times,
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's interesting that they wrote So Far Away I'm Gone, which was the title that they wrote for the other band member who died.
So Far Away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's in 2003. So that means that I'm pretty sure the drummer, the Rev, he was alive when they wrote this song.
Wow.
So it's just. I'm just listening to the song like this fucking band. It's like there's certain people that just seem. I don't know. Like, I grew up. The kids who taught me to play baseball in Florida. Mm-hmm. It's probably the best summer of my life, Tristan and Floyd.
We always talk about that.
Yeah, and they, I'm trying to find that picture, because we were all together.
Oh, that'd be cool. I could put it on the screen for people.
But, like...
When he eventually finds the picture, I'll show it to you guys.
Their mom...
I know.
I lost track of them, and then because we were moving all over the place, and I finally found him. I found her, and I said, hey, how's everybody doing? And she's like, well, because she used to live with her parents, and then Tristan and Floyd. Well, everybody lived in that house. And she said, well, her parents died, which made sense, because they were, like, in their 80s when I was a kid. So I'm like, okay, that sucks. Well, because of that, Floyd didn't have a dad growing up, so the grandpa was the whatever. And... they were at a baseball game. They lost in the 9th inning. He goes home and kills himself. Which, to your point, it's like, that was it. That was it for him. Like, he,
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Are you serious?
But he used to freak out. I mean, we used to get in... We had a fight every day in the summer. I had a fight every day in the summer with Floyd. I loved him, but anytime he'd lose... he would just lose his mind,
I wonder why winning was so important to him.
I don't know. But there was a lot of stuff going on with them, obviously. But
well, yeah,
and then the grandpa would come out and yell at him, and he'd swear at his grandfather, but he would shut up and listen. And then his grandfather died. He loses a baseball game. He comes home and he kills himself. So I'm talking to Tristan. I'm like, bro, man, I'm really, really sorry. Yada yada yada. And then, like, a year later, Tristan dies in a motorcycle accident. Mm-hmm. Then a year after that, Patty's sister, Pam, dies of...
Patty?
That was the mom.
Yep, her sister died?
Yeah, so, like, in a span of 2 years, mom, dad, both her sons, and then her sister.
I don't understand. Oh, my gosh.
I'm like... Some people are just, like... So this band, like, they know somebody in 2003 who apparently killed himself. I minimum tried, and then of course they lose the drummer. You know, it's like, I don't know. Some people
didn't we remember that that family that the son had cancer and he passed away. He had a wife and kids that she used to come to the same church as us. Remember that?
Yeah.
Didn't the mom have 3 kids and
yeah.
she lost every one of them?
Well, the brother is no, the brother died too.
I think he ended up dying the last one.
All 3 of them. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. The sister died in a car accident. The next one died of cancer, and then
some people.
They just,
the Puritans called it hard providences. Some people just get
worked.
Really, really, really hard. So it's like, you know. So
I was thinking the other day when when we went through Starbucks and we were getting our drinks, and like the girl seemed very peaceful. And I was like, I appreciated that, like, peacefulness about her. And I remember when I was working in the public eye, I was always, like, really happy and stuff. And then people would be like, oh, like, why are you so happy? And then I'd always, like, relate it to my relationship with God, that was what was the source of my joy. But now I realize that, like, I think that was a source of my joy, but my life was very simple. Like, now it's so much more complex, and I'm like, I still have both my parents, my mom still has both her parents, you know, so I still have great grandparents around, and so, like, there's, you know, I haven't experienced, you know, my uncle passed away when I was a teenager, but that's not the same thing as a parent or anything, and we knew it was coming because he had cancer and stuff, which was still hard, but not like overwhelmingly so. But I think about that, and I think now that I've experienced so much this last year of my life, and like I don't walk around with the same joy and peace that I used to. And you know, one of the kids was asking me today, they're like, what kind of parent do you think that you are? And I said, I think that I'm to our oldest, he's such a thinker, you know.
Yeah.
Went out for a run. I said, I think that I'm unpredictable because, you know, sometimes I wake up and I'm just in a bad mood, or I just feel like crying, or I just feel like whatever. And he brought up somebody else that he knows that is very unpredictable and stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm not unpredictable to that degree, but to myself, I am, because I used to, you know, get up, even if I felt bad, I got up and I attacked my day, and now it's harder for me to do that. So I think that, yeah, as you experience things, it's like hard to, it gets harder and harder, I think, to pick yourself up off the freaking pavement each time that you experience something.
Yeah, the older you get, you know, the more like life begins. Yeah, I was listening to.
God, I don't want to be a bitter old person.
I think it's something V, and he said, if you're under 31, you haven't even been punched in the mouth.
Oh yeah. You're your guy. You like him.
Career-wise, yet, because you missed the housing bubble.
Yeah.
And I think he's right. I think that, you know, the younger and younger you are, like, you know, there's some people that, because we experienced some pretty crazy shit right out of the gate as a family, like right out of the gate. Yeah. All my early experiences they're not all bad. It just included a lot of crazy shit. And this is what I mean. Child, you mean. This is what I mean about tolerance, because it's like, if you're raised in a certain environment, like we were just raised in a crazy environment, so like crazy stuff happens, cops get called, blah 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 blah. Like, I'm good with that. It's like a walk in the park. The thing is, everybody stayed, you know, like our core. We had a core that stayed. It was me, my mom, and my brothers, and we were just together all the time. We just stayed together, and so it's like when people like leave or that type of thing, it's different than if you're going, like, there's some things that just, you know, just like if you left, that'd be like extremely difficult for me, right? Whereas like there's a lot of things that are just walks in the park where it's like a normal person would be like, oh shit, you know what I mean? So it's like, so it's a weird thing that to be the survivor of a person who does something like this, because, or even attempts to, because you're always stuck between being extremely angry at the person who did it, and then feeling guilty that you feel angry, and then also relief that they're not going through that anymore, but then you're questioning, well, where are they now? It's just
yeah, there's so many things. Oh my gosh.
It's just a set of very complex, you know, emotions. So, but
moral of the story is face your own demons. Don't run from them.
Well, yeah, and don't, you know, you got to think about, you know, like we knew a girl who, I mean, she was very, very attention hungry and lied a lot and had a bunch of pathology, but the fact of the matter is she walked in and found her sister in a closet. So I remember everybody used to be so upset about her, and I'd be like, what the fuck do you want her to do?
That's traumatizing.
Like, but of course, people who've never been through something like that, they have all their judgments about how people are supposed to act and respond. And I never like used that as an excuse to excuse her behavior.
Nope, you didn't.
But at the same time, I was like,
can people have a little bit of
what the fuck do you know about it?
Yeah, it's really terrible because I would forget about that, and that's like, how the fuck did I forget about something I never experienced it.
You never found your sister.
Still, like whenever I would think about it, I'm like, how did I forget about that? Like that is some traumatic. I was traumatized just from, I told you there was some Bible movie playing up in my mom's room when I was a little kid, and it was John the Baptist had just friggin' got his head cut off, and they held up his head by the hair, and I walked in right at that scene, and I was like traumatized for like years. I was affected by that.
Yeah.
And I'm
which is, I get it. That's tolerance wise, that's terrible, but it fucks you up for a very long time.
Gosh.
So it's one of those things where it's like, if you're in that situation, like, all I can say is, I know it's terrible. I don't know what it's like to be you. Mm-hmm. And nobody knows what it's like to be you except for God.
Right.
So I don't know what it's like to be you, but I do know that there's got to be people who care about you that would much rather be with you than not. And at the end of the day, somebody's got to find you. Like, to get mega practical, who's gonna find you if you do some shit like that? You know what I mean? And like,
I'd be so heartbroken if I found out somebody was watching our channel and then they went and like,
that's gonna be the last thing that person sees and knows of you.
Mm-hmm. That's something you don't get out of your head.
Trust me. So yeah, it's an important song. I pretty much, because if it's Avenged Sevenfold, if there's any sort of title about like separation, I always stay away from it because I'm like, it's gonna be. But I don't think it was about the Rev because it's. I think it's too early in their timeline. But anyway, it's a good song. I did what it was supposed to do. I don't know if there's any songs about like a person who's pissed off at a person for doing that shit. But although with one of the folks, I wasn't really that angry at her. Although it probably destroyed other important relationships in my life that are like irreparably. But I was never really, really angry at her. Because she had it very, very difficult, and she was extremely lonely. That's the biggest thing, man. People are lonely, That's like the major, major thing. And she was a very powerful woman, but extremely, extremely lonely and just sad. So, shout out to her. All right, well, that's that. Thank you very much, Sin and Glory Alliance. I mean, it's an important discussion, though.
Yeah.
I avoid songs like that because, obvious reasons. But at the same time, like, it brings meaning to why, I had to go through that. Because it's like, okay, now we're talking about it, and inshallah, somebody can watch this and be like, okay, like,
I'm not gonna go through with that.
And the thing is like, if you gotta break it down to consumable chunks, just say not today. You don't have to say I'm gonna live for 50 years. Just say not today. Then when you wake up tomorrow and you feel it tomorrow, say not today. And if you do that enough, you'll string together a good couple months, and you'll give yourself a chance and the other people around you. So, because it's true, like, she was looking down the corridor of time and like looking at her life,
and
she's like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And it's like she never gave herself an opportunity to, because things can change. But if your vision becomes so constricted. So I'm like, okay, well, don't think about 10 years from now. You know, just think about today. Just make it through today. Don't even worry about tomorrow. Just
Jesus says a lot of things that are like, wow, that's just so friggin' practical. He said, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow has enough worries of its own. Like, if I could take care of the lilies of the valley, I'm going to take care of you.
Yeah.
And that's it, you know, like, and every time that I do that where I start thinking about tomorrow and the year after and the years after and what if this happens, what if that happens, I overwhelm myself. Let's just focus on living in the moment. And you miss what's in this moment when you're so busy trying to figure out moments in another time. Like, live where you are. Look around you. Who's around you? Like, love the people that are around you. Find ways to do good to your neighbor and love them. And let them find ways to do good to you. So that way we can all start this new cycle of living that is.
And shit, it's 2018. Facebook.com/Vin and Sori. Join the village.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, shit, even if you're not on Patreon, join a alliance. Like, they talk to each other all the time. They're friends, you know what I mean? And they share some real deep shit with each other. So, you know. I mean, there's a lot of shit that can happen now.
Yeah.
You know, where we can connect with other human beings. But, yeah, that's my thing, man. It's just do it one more day. And tomorrow, just do it one more day. And then the next day, just do it one more day. And give yourself a shot. You know, and give God a shot to work.
Hashtag not today.
Yeah, for real. Not today. All right, well, good. I'm obviously not voting on this song. You can, if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 9.8.
Good. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.